Welcome back. Let me fill you in on a secret. You are the person that is blocking your freedom. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how to stop. When I talk to clients or people in my community, I always see the same trends. People are so stuck in the future vision that they are forgetting to have freedom in the present. And so often the things that you want that class as freedom for you are already available to you. You're just not letting yourself have them. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 things. The present freedom, so how do you bring freedom into the present and not just have it as a future dream? We're going to be talking about freedom as a mindset, because it really is. And then we're going to be talking about the big vision versus the little freedoms and how we balance both of those scales to make sure that we're living both all of the time. You ready? Let's go. So, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is present freedom. So many people delay the feeling of freedom because they feel like they have to meet certain criteria before they can have freedom. So they have to earn a certain amount of money, they have to work a certain amount of hours, they have to have a certain relationship or structure or foundation or whatever it is. They need to get to a certain level in their career, they need to have so many qualifications under their belt. There's so many reasons I hear why people say, oh well, once I finish this I'll have more time, or I'll have the ability to do the things that I want. And I want to explain to you that that is not the way it works. We need to bring freedom into the present right now and say, I'm going to create time for the things that make me feel free. So I always suggest to my clients starting by writing a list of the things that make you feel free. So maybe it is being able to go and do a nice long walk, during the week. Maybe it is, one of my big things when I first started my business was being able to go and do my grocery shop during the week at the quietest time when there was nobody else around. That was like my ultimate. And that literally made me feel so free because I didn't have to wait until a Saturday morning when everyone else was doing their shopping and then go and have that awful experience. In that moment, that was the thing that made me feel free. Now, if I look at my life, it is, on any day of the week being able to go and have lunch with a friend or go for a swim in the sea or go for an early morning workout and then go, take the dog for a walk and have breakfast and have slow mornings. All of that stuff is the stuff that makes me feel free. Not having somebody, always telling me what I should be doing when I should be doing it. And what we need to do is we need to look at how we bring those freedoms into our current present. And if you look at your list, there will be some things on there that are without of reach immediately. So for instance, one of the things that I had on my list, I will feel free when I am out of debt. I won't only feel free when I'm out of debt. I'll do other things that help me feel free before then. And at the time when I was writing this list for the first time, being out of debt felt like something that was impossible. It felt like it was something that would never happen. And it's happening this year. We've done it. Here we go. So these are the types of things where if I had waited for 5 years from the moment that I, said we're going to get out of debt to now, I would have never gotten out of debt because I would have never felt good enough, taken the actions that I needed to, done all of the things that I needed to from a place of happiness rather than a place of push, force. And I think that that's so important to understand. When you make yourself feel free, everything else flows more freely around you. So it's a really important thing to try and establish. The second thing that I wanted to touch on was freedom being a mindset. This is really important because I used to believe that because I was in debt, because I worked a 9-to-5 job, because I lived in a country away from all of my friends and family, because I fill in the blank for yourself, I believed that that meant I couldn't have freedom. In order to have freedom, I would need to move home, make new friends, get out of debt, find a different job or start my own business or do whatever, the recipe was for me. And it's really interesting because when I decided to make freedom a priority, none of my circumstances changed but I felt free. And that's because I started to bring freedom in and didn't leave it as a future. And that is because freedom is a mindset. You can be in any situation and you can still have a positive mindset. You can still have a freedom mindset. You can have an optimistic outlook on life to say things are going to get better. I am going to be able to achieve these goals. Or you can sit in that place of, oh, well, as soon as this happens for me, then I can have the thing that I want. And that's such a disempowering place to sit, because realistically, firstly, you have to be in vibrational alignment to manifest, and secondly, you have to take aligned action. So if you're just sitting back and going, oh, well, one day when I'm out of debt, one day when my business takes off, one day when I, have the time, you're never ever gonna hit the income goal, the time freedom, the working hours that you want. You're never going to do it. Because freedom is a mindset. We choose freedom inside our heads before it manifests in our world around us. And that's such an important thing to understand. So I want you to ask yourself today, where are you blocking your own freedom? Let me know in the comments below. It'll be really great to hear where you feel you are blocking your own freedom. So what are the things that you could be doing now that you're not? Could you take yourself to a coffee shop to go work for the afternoon, and would that feel really abundant for you? Could you do your grocery shop in the middle of the week when it's really quiet, and would that feel abundant for you? Could you only work school hours when your kids are at school, and would that would that feel really abundant for you? Whatever it is for you, get it in the comments below and let me know. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is this big vision versus the little freedom. So people always say to me, oh, well, did you just give up the whole idea of being debt free because you weren't going to let it impact your freedom? And I said, no, I still want to be debt free. Of course I do. So I had a big vision. I just didn't hinge my happiness on that vision happening. Originally, I said, I wanted to be out of debt within 2 years. From the point that I said that to the point that we, started this process, we had a global pandemic. Kind of happened in the middle. And I could have said to myself, oh, I'll never be out of debt because I couldn't do it in that time frame. Or I can just be really kind to myself and say, we're still working towards this goal, and that's amazing, and that's incredible, and it makes me feel good. You can have big visions. You just can't hinge on the timeline. You can't say, I'll only be happy once this has happened. So you say, this is the big vision, this is the thing that we want to work towards, this is the way that I want to feel, how I want to live my life, the amount of money I want to have, the amount of investments, the things that I want around me, the people that I want around me. You can create this whole vision of what you're working towards, but what we're not going to do is put our whole life on hold until that thing comes into reality. So we're going to say, for instance, one of the things that I used to say is that Jay and I would travel more once we had more money. So we would have the freedom to be able to travel and go on adventures once we had money. Okay, we were in debt. Yeah, it was going to take us years to pay off our debt. We had to look at this and say, well, what can we do instead? So we invested about £600. We bought a whole bunch of camping gear, and we started to go on camps and hikes just locally and within an hour radius of where we are. So it didn't cost us much. Once the original investment was laid out, we had everything that we needed, and every time we could go away on a hiking weekend or a camping weekend with friends, and it didn't cost us loads of money to do that. So we found a happy medium. This is the way that we can live and enjoy ourselves and be happy and free now without compromising the big vision, without waiting for the big vision to come into fruition, without doing all of those things. So I want you to think about what is the big vision that would make you feel free? So if it is adventures or traveling, how could you minimize that now and make it happen? If it is time freedom, oh, I only want to work 3 hours a day, how could you give yourself one day now where you only work 3 hours? Even if it's one day a month, not one day a week, how can you do it on a small scale to start feeling what it feels like and bringing that into your reality? I remember saying, right at the beginning when I was going through this process, I remember saying oh, I want a cleaner, I want a puppy dog, I want to go for monthly massages. I had this list of these things that felt so extreme and so unrealistic and things that I never thought we would be able to have when we were almost £40,000 in debt. And now I have all of those things. It's about working towards them slowly but surely. I didn't go from having none of it to all of it immediately. I built up slowly but surely. I started to go visit friends who had dogs more. I started to do self-massage and yoga and, you know, release the tension in my body more frequently, because that's what I wanted massages for. So just ask yourself, what are the things that you want and how can you bring them into your reality now in a small scale? Because that is what changes and makes your reality feel more free. So if you want to carry on with us on this journey and come and find out loads more about freedom and self-love and how you can control yourself in order to get the things that you want, we'll be looking at some business techniques as well over the next couple of videos. Then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification button so that you don't miss a video. I cannot wait to hear in the comments what is the thing that you are holding yourself back from, and I will see you on the next video.